sustainable businesses. We provide the expertise to navigate through a myriad of accounting, auditing, taxation, and advisory needs to small and medium-sized enterprises. Our speaker today, all the way from Mozambique, is Rumbidzai Mukori. She is the founder of Fully Enriched, a bio-individual holistic health living initiative tailored to pursue original and national foods that she calls the chinyakare dietary practices. With her publications, books, and materials, she has empowered so many people by transforming over 5,000 clients to transform their health and wellness. She's also advocating for the restoration of the chinyakare's dietary lifestyle and restoration of the natural diets as a better solution to our health. Thank you so much, Rumbidzai, for joining us for our Lunch and Learn today. Over to you. Take us further for us to understand the tips and the insights of how we can restore our health. Over to you, Rumbidzai.
For the wonderful, wonderful introduction to the presentation for today. It's not the best, but I will be heard on the audio. All right, so let's begin. So whenever we look at the aspect of minding your own wealth is something that is, number one, very personal. It's something that differs from individual to individual. And if we look at the definition of what exactly it is that wealth is, you will see that wealth has got a wide types and also a vast amount of different ways that people define wealth. So on a platform like this one, where we are talking about how you can be able to develop a sustainable business, we're going to be linking the two, how you can be able to look at it from wealth in terms of monetary aspect, and wealth in terms of your mindset, and wealth from a nutritional aspect. So taking you through the outline, we will begin with our introduction. We will redefine the meaning of wealth. We will also then look at the dimensions of wealth. And then we will have a health assessment quiz, which you can be able to then analyze and see for yourself, where are you in terms of your journey to being a healthier you? And then finally, we will look at wealth creation strategies from a nutritional and a holistic health approach. So beginning with the introduction, wealth, as we did say, is a state of mind. It's the way that you view things. You may have a lot of money in the bank account, but if your state of mind is not in line with it, you may actually end up realizing that the value of that money is actually not seen, and it's something that will not be able to be carried on to generations. So with wealth, it's a state of mind. It's something that requires for you to put in effort. It's something that requires for you to actually have that specific mind frame and begin to actually believe that this is what you want to actually achieve. So if we're to look at wealth, it's one of the greatest discoveries of all times. It's something that most people have come to actually develop over a period of time. If we're to look at the olden days, wealth was defined in a different way. The way that wealth is defined now, if you're to look at it, we've moved away from the monetary aspect. And we're now focusing more on things to do with your health, things to do with your wellness. And that is how we have seen that the wealth has actually transitioned from a monetary aspect to an aspect of nutrition and wellness. It's something that you can either lose or gain, and it begins with your mind. The way that you view it, the way that you see it, is the one which can then determine how much power you actually have. But today you'll actually see that you have a lot of power in your hands whenever it comes to wealth management, nutrition, and a holistic health approach, the meaning of health. If you're to look at this slide, you will see Bill Gain, but it's a state of mind, as we did say. If you're then to look at the World Health, a factor here is that while congruences, they both have states. States, it's shown in both of the two definitions, showing that it has a lot to do with your mindset. If we're now to look at the health definition, it's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just the absence of disease or infirmity. This is definitely something that we saw a lot of, especially during the time of COVID, when people who were healthy, they ended up getting COVID, or people who are healthy, the next thing you're hearing that they've passed on, unfortunately. So what happened is that's when we then had an appreciation that in actual reality, health is not just the fact that you have a disease or not, but it's the state. What state are you in terms of your physical health? What is your state mentally? What is your state on a social well-being? And doing the research that I was doing, I actually found that wealth, it's also similar to the way that we look at the state of one being healthy from a wealth perspective. If you have a mindset mentally, social well-being, physically, if you're healthy, you definitely are defined as someone who is wealthy, and not just merely the absence of having money in your pocket or not. We will now look at the dimensions of wealth. We have dimension number one is knowledge, number two, understanding, and number three, wisdom. When you look at knowledge, knowledge is what you will acquire by the end of this talk, by the end of this webinar. You will have a better knowledge in terms of what exactly does it mean to have wealth, what exactly does it mean to have health. You will have knowledge, you will acquire knowledge. You acquire it from listening, you acquire it from talking, you acquire it from reading. And it's something that we all have access to, because the world is now bombarded with lots and lots of information. You decide for yourself that what do I really want to know more about? What do I really want to actually zone in? What do I want to actually appreciate? So that I'm two, it's understanding. What we mean by understanding, you've gained knowledge. You've been told that if you eat a certain food, it's going to help you to lose weight. Or if you use the amount of carbohydrates that you have on a take and more enlightened. This is knowledge. Now, we now need to move it on to understanding, where you as an individual, what I've been taught, do I of nutrition from a personal perspective. This is now when we come back to the initial definition of the state of mind, where we're saying you have to have that specific state of desire to grow more on the platform, the foundation that I have gained of knowledge. I want to understand it. I want to appreciate it. I want it to be something that I can be able to relate to as an individual. This is the area where majority of us, we don't really tend to put as much time and effort into doing, especially in this information bombarded society where we are, where everyone is claiming that a specific way of eating, a specific way of living can be healthy for you, it can have some benefits for you. But if you don't understand the concept, you don't understand what the pros are, the cons are, it can actually be very dangerous to your health. So a good example is that of the fad diets that we have. Fad diets, they come and they go. And most people would tell you, this is how you do it. You have to eat 1 egg a day. After you've eaten 1 egg a day, you should be able to get the results that you want. But have we ever actually taken the time to understand the concept behind it? What is the nutritional benefits of eating that way? What are the pros? What are the cons in relation to your own personal physical health? So understanding we invest in, whether it means you have to work with a coach or whether it means you have to further ask for insight in relation to the knowledge decisions on whatever journey you may be on. The next dimension, level 3, we call it wisdom. Wisdom is something that's acquired. It's something that happens over time. It's something that you get by trying out something and realizing, no, this is not working for me. It's something that you are able to implement in your own life. When it comes to wisdom, we have to be very, very important in the aspect that you need to look at it, that with what I've understood, how can I be able to apply wisdom in the day-to-day scenario that I'm faced with? How can I be wise in the decisions that I make when it comes to food choices, when it comes to what it is that I should actually be focusing more of my attention on? You have to be able to move in and zone in on acquiring wisdom. Next slide. We will now look at how the 3 of these different dimensions come together. So we've spoken about knowledge, which we said is the acquisition of information. We've spoken about understanding, which is now the apprehension and the application of being able to say that, okay, fine, I've apprehended it, I understand it, it's something that I can be able to apply to and utilize on a daily basis. And then we spoke about wisdom, how wisdom has to now do with the application of the knowledge that you've gained. Next slide, please. We will now look at the health assessment quiz. This is just a fun tool for you to be able to understand where you are on your journey, whether it's a health journey or it's a wealth management journey, a weight loss journey. This is just a general health assessment quiz that you can use. So the first areas we're going to be looking at is knowledge, and then understanding, and then we'll end with the wisdom aspect. Next slide, please. Okay, so as you can see here, recommended amount of physical activity per week for adults, according to the World Health Organization. So I'd like for you to take a moment to answer it. You can write the answer down, and then you'll grade yourself. So what is the recommended amount of physical activity per week for adults, according to the World Health Organization? All right, lovely. So I think by now, all of us have answered this question, and I will now give you the answer. The answer is C. 150 minutes is the recommended amount of physical activity per week for adults, according to the World Health Organization. So what I've just done is I've given you knowledge. Once you have that knowledge, the next step now is understanding. What is your understanding of 150 minutes? Do you understand which workouts? Do you understand the meaning of physical activity? Do you understand how you should be doing the physical activity on a daily basis to actually attain the 150 minutes? This now is the understanding part. This is now when you have to sit down with yourself and decide, okay, I'm going to be doing 150 minutes 2 times a week, meaning twice a week, I'm going to be doing 75 minutes, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's taking a walk, whether it's stretching, all of this is physical activity. I'm going to be doing something to make sure that I reach the 150 minutes per week, according to the World Health Organization. That is understanding. The next aspect now will be wisdom. You now have to apply it. Whether it means you're going to be downloading the number of minutes that you do per day, or it means you're going to be having you're going to buy a Fitbit, to help you to keep track of the amount of minutes that you do. Or if you decide to say, I'm going to be working on a number of steps per day. So instead of doing 150 minutes, I'm going to be doing a certain number of steps per day. This is now where the wisdom part of it comes in, the application on a daily basis. We will now look at the last question. The next slide, please. According to the American Heart Association, what is the maximum amount of added sugar intake per day for women? According to the American Heart Association, what is the maximum amount of added sugar intake per day for women? A, 36 grams, B, 25 grams, C, 10 grams, or D, 25 grams. So B and D, they're the same. All right, so I'm sure by now you've answered the question, and the answer is B or D, which is 25 grams. For women, with a maximum amount of added sugar intake per day for us is 25 grams. This equates to 6 tablespoons per day. For a man, it's 8 to 9 tablespoons per day, which equates to 36 grams per day. What you have now is knowledge. So the next thing we have to move on to is understanding, what does added sugar mean? Added sugar is not the sugar that we have in carbohydrates. It's not the sugar that we find in fruits, but it's the sugar that we add. It's the sugar you get from honey. It's the sugar that you get from sweets. It's the sugar that you get from the crisps that you eat. Everything that has got added sugar. The daily amount for you, if you're a woman, it should be 25 grams. If you're a man, it's 36 grams. And having this understanding is very powerful, because most of the inflammation diseases that are there now, it's because we're consuming a higher amount of sugar as compared to what we should actually be having on a daily basis. So now you have knowledge, you now have understanding. Now the last part is application, which is wisdom, which I will leave up to you to now say that, okay, fine, if I don't understand this particular aspect, how can I be able to gain more knowledge or gain more understanding so that I'm able to make wise decisions whenever it comes to my food choices? Next slide, please. We will now look at wealth creation strategies. How can you be able to create wealth? Number one, avoid debt. We all know that debt is something that we should try and stay away from as much as possible. Yes, today it may simplify your life, but over time, the interest will definitely add up. It's the same thing when it comes to your health. Today, you may say, I can eat whatever I want. But in the long run, if you're to look further, maybe 2 or even 5 or even 10 years down the line, you will definitely see that your medical expenditures will be on the rise. Why? Because malnutrition is one of the biggest causes of majority of the diseases that we have. And malnutrition is simply because we're not eating well. So if you want to eat well today, you are investing in your wealth because you reduce medical expenditures in the future. If you choose to walk today, you're improving cardiac health and you're getting stronger bones. If you choose to sleep well today, you reduce the risk of non-communicable diseases. If to drink water today, you improve your mental health. If you take less sugar today, you slow down the rate of aging and care expenditures in the future. So as we can see, these are all things that we all know. It's knowledge that we have. But today, I hope by the end of the day, you have an understanding of the importance of some of these simple things that we need to be doing on a daily dips. So the next slide, we would like to know how we can be able to create passive wealth. Passive wealth, as we all know, is money that you earn without actively working or doing anything. It's money that just comes in, whether it's in the form of writing a book, or it's in the form of doing podcasts, or it's in the form of any other different way. Ways that you can be able to, but how can you be able to create budgeting? Coming up with a budget is one of the most effective ways to ensure money unnecessarily on things that are not on your list. So if you have a proper budget and you know that every month I'm going to be utilizing or using $25 towards helping to ensure that I improve my health, whether you're going to say that I'm going to be using a certain amount of money for how much I'm going to be buying for groceries. Having a budget will help you to be able to be in charge of your money and not utilize it or waste it on buying other things that you may want, but are not necessarily essential for your health. Number 2, meal planning. Coming up with the meal plan is one of the most favorite things that I absolutely love doing as a nutritionist, but majority of the people don't actually have a specific, we just eat, we just cook. At how much time you waste. If you look at how much money you waste, if you look at how much energy you, if you have a meal plan or you have easily then be able to say that, okay, fine, Tuesday I'll have that, Wednesday I'm going to be, will remain in your hand, money unnecessarily. Shopping lists. Having a shopping list is essential. It helps you and guides you in terms of what exactly it is that you're going to be buying in the shop, and it limits you to actually buying things that you do not need. Then number 4 is walking. Walking is something that will not cost you anything. You don't have to get a gym subscription. You don't have to get any form of equipment. All that it means is you just have to make a commitment to saying, I'm actually going to be walking as a way of trying to improve my cardiac health. I am investing in my car to do this. Number 5, drinking water. One of the most affordable beverages we can not utilize it. And what is interesting is that water is actually a nutrient. And majority of the people in this day and age, from research we have seen, are actually dehydrated. But by simply drinking water, you can actually avoid a large number of diseases that people are suffering from in this day and age. And this will definitely help you to be able to create passive wealth. Next slide, please. In conclusion, as we said, wealth is a state of mind. And today, you need to commit yourself to saying, I know this information. I have understood this information. Now I need to showcase wisdom by focusing on your own wealth and taking the steps necessary to help you to achieve success in these areas. Investing in yourself is something which is very important. And there are different ways that we've talked about. You can create passive income streams and you can avoid debt. If you decide to dedicate yourself, you put in the hard work, you will definitely be able to achieve your wealth goals today. Thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of our presentation for today. I will hand over to Brenda, and also if there are any questions from the audience.
Thank you so much, Rumbi, for the insightful presentation. What I've learned from your presentation is we need to create passive health through budgeting. meal planning, shopping list, walking, and drinking water. But above everything else, you taught us that wealth is a state of mind, and we need to commit to knowledge and also investing in ourselves. So I don't know from the audience, are there any questions for Rumbi? Are there any questions for Rumbi? Okay. So if there are no further questions, I would like to say thank you so much, Rumbidzai, for the presentation on health and ways on how we can actually invest in our health to have better lives. There are so many things that we learned from the presentation, and I believe we are going to implement some of the insights that you taught us. So Rumbi, how would people get in contact with you? There's a question here saying, how do we get in touch with you?
So you can contact me either on WhatsApp or via email. Brenda, do you want me to put the email or the WhatsApp in the chat, or maybe
yes,
okay.
You can.
All right.
You can send it. Yeah, you can actually edit on the chat.
Okay.
Okay. What Rumbi is adding details. Are there any questions for her?
On my end, it's not a question. It's just to thank for the informative presentation. I learned a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much. Let's now apply it.
That's the important thing. That's the important thing.
Yes, so Ruby has shared in her personal details. If you need to contact her, you can take a email address, and then I'm not sure, and then the WhatsApp as well. She's shared in her WhatsApp details as well for you to get more information about the health initiatives that she is charge of, if I can put it that way. So thank you so much, Rumbi. Thank you so much for the information. And like what Tammy has said, we've learned a lot of things about how to maintain our health and how to invest in our health. And thank you so much for everyone who has attended our lunch and learn. Until next time, have a great day further. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.